Hey yo guys, welcome to my belated review. I plan on doing this a long time ago, but things happen and busy with college and stuff. So anyways, I'm going to review the Fight Night card and give my thoughts on the first episode of The Ultimate Fighter Season 10 as, I thought that the whole Ultimate Fighter, build up and could it live up to the hype? And I have to say, quickly, yes, it did. But we'll get more in depth into that. But felt like I had to review the Fight Night show because that was a really good show. I thought for a show that really you just get a bunch of fighters who have some good track records and can put on good fights, but to your more casual audience that really won't tune in, I thought that this show overachieved in its first two fights and even throughout the show. So anyways, definitely review it. We started out with Crazy Tim Cruder versus Nate the Rock Quarry. This was a really good opener. Both guys kept it standing. Rarely was there even a takedown attempts. I mean, Cruder has some really good jiu-jitsu, but for some reason felt, I don't want to use that. I just want to show that I can stand. He definitely got the better there of Quarry in the first round, delivering better strikes. I believe almost he did drop Quarry and almost put him away. He tried to finish him with a choke. He just couldn't get it locked in, and Quarry got back up to his feet and survived, and definitely made that a 10-9 Tim Cruder round. And I'm like, Nate's in trouble here. I mean, he got blown out of the water, I believe, in his last performance by Damian Maia. Then again, different type of style of fighter, but still, that's a very big confidence blow when you get blown out of the water and stuff. But he came back in the second round, and it looked like he was going to be in trouble, as Tim looked like to dictate the pace and the striking, have the advantage. But then Quarry uses the rocks of power that he has and absolutely just rocks Cruder. Cruder goes down and I think almost out. But they keep going back and forth there for a while. It was like this was really, really exciting down. And he just landed a beautiful shot and dropped Cruder and, knocked him down with another one. And then the rest was just Quarry was on top, and that was about it. Tim Cruder defended well, but that was just the fight. That round and the third round, it was just the same thing again. Quarry, big shots and just dropped him. I mean, this fight really overachieved. And realizing the result and the last two rounds went, when you looked at Nate Quarry's face after it, he had an amazing hematoma under his left eye. Like, this thing looked like a small peach. That's how big it was, and that was just, a really good fight. A great way to get things kicked off at the Ultimate UFC Fight Night 19 from the Koch Convention Center. Great way to get things going. The thing I liked about it, these guys were so respectful after the fight. I mean, Quarry put over Cruder very well in his interview after, I thought, and Tim did a pretty good promo afterwards. So really, that was easily fight of the night, and it did win fight of the night. I mean, I don't see there's any way you could deny it. Both guys were just out there, having a good old slugfest, and it looked like Cruder was going to put Quarry away in the first round, and it looked like Quarry would do in the second and third, but both guys showed incredible heart, and it was just such a really good fight. The next fight was welterweight bout as Carlos Natural-born Killer Condit takes on Jake Ellenberger. Now, Jake Ellenberger, seen some of his stuff. He fought in the IFL, fought with some M1 shows, and he fought on a Bodog Fight. Guy has some incredible power in his hands. That's mainly how he gets the job done. Really doesn't have that much on the ground. But I will say he really impressed me here. He almost finished Carlos Condit in that first round. I mean, he just threw some heavy shots. I thought he staggers Condit, I believe almost dropping him. He went for a Darce choke as well and almost got that as well. This looked really, really bad for Carlos Condit. I mean, Carlos Condit had all this hype going in for him, former WEC welterweight champion, had a really good fight against Martin Kampmann, and he looks like he almost got blown out of the water by this newcomer, Jake Ellenberger. But as the second and third rounds got going, Condit was able to stagger off Ellenberger and come out with his own. Basically from that point on, it was Condit getting on top and having full control, taking his back, trying submission attempts, delivering some strikes while he had Ellenberger's back, and just basically controlling Ellenberger from that point on. So in my scorecard, I had it 29-28 for Carlos Condit, and all the judges did as well. Actually, one judge had it for Ellenberger. I don't really see how I could do that. It's that last round was really a deciding factor. Just how he had the multiple times he had him down, just how he had his back and almost, got a rear naked choke. He was a little too high to get it, but he almost got the choke there. But this is just a really good performance. There's no shame in Jake Ellenberger losing in this performance, considering he almost did knock out Carlos Condit. This man has some serious power, people. So look out for Jake Ellenberger in the welterweight division. Then we went to the next fight in the lightweight division. It was the Bully versus the Matador. It was Gray the Bully Maynard versus Roger El Matador Huerta. This was a good fight. It kind of disappointed me in how it went. I'm not going to lie. I thought this fight would have been a little bit better than what it was, but considering the fight card we got so far, I'm not really going to complain. Basically, the first fight, I was just really surprised at Gray's strategy. He eventually implied it in the last 2 minutes of the third round, but I thought I was going to see, Gray Maynard going in, taking down Huerta, and just, controlling him on the ground with strikes and going for submission attempts. Really, we didn't get that until the third round. It was the first round, it was, the attempts that Maynard did have for going for the takedowns. It was Huerta too up against the fence, and he really couldn't get positioning. Huerta had a really good flurry in that first round for him to win it, in my opinion. Second round, it was, actually a better combinations by Maynard. That's how I saw it. I thought Maynard was just better. Maynard had, some really strong punches and went for that. And in the third round, it was really the deciding factors that he finally got his takedowns in, and he had a nasty-looking Kimura. I mean, Huerta's shoulder was fucking popping, shoulder bone was fucking popping out. It was pretty nasty. I thought he was going to put him away, but hell, give all the props to Roger Huerta. I scored this one 29-28 again for Gray the Bully Maynard. One judge as well, and 2 judges gave the unanimous decision all across the board. It gave every round to Maynard. I really don't see how he could do that, as I thought Huerta, he survived the takedown defenses. Actually, he would imply a sprawl or use the fence to his advantage, and he had the better striking in the first round. So I really don't see how you could give the first round to Gray Maynard. Not saying he didn't win the fight, as I obviously just said, he won the fight, but that's just my opinion. Then we went to the main event. It was Melvin Guillard versus Nate Diaz, and this was a pretty good fight to close off the show. It had its little moments or glimpses of Sanchez versus Guida in the aspect of the trash talking and the stare down. I thought, you know what, this is going to be a really good fight. The fight starts out, and Guillard just uses his really strong striking, his powerful striking, and drops Diaz, and it's like, wow, this could be over in record time here. But, Diaz, being the true pro he is, survives and gets things going here. Guillard has, I've noticed in recent fights, been able to use the judo throw to his advantage. He's used it really well. He did it for sure against Gleison Tibau. He definitely did it here against Nate Diaz. So if he can, use that, actually you control the fighter on the ground more so. With Diaz, I'm not going to be too upset because Diaz is really good on the ground. But if he can do that, he's going to be really, really good. Just, get a full mount and ground and pound the fuck out of the guy. But, that was about that. Diaz got some takedowns in there. But, it was Guillard really controlling it. Once the fight got back on the feet, he had the better head movement, better striking. I gave the first round to Guillard. But the second round was Guillard made a mistake when you go for a takedown. He left his neck out. Diaz saw it, grabbed it as the takedown was happening, and he got him in a nasty guillotine. Get the submission victory and get the win he needed, because Nate Diaz was losing 3 in a row there. He really needed this victory. He gets it done. And I don't know where we're going to see Nate Diaz. He's calling out for some top guys in the lightweight division. I don't know where we're going to see that. I definitely think Nate Diaz deserves another pay-per-view performance. At least an opening fight. Nate Diaz always brings in an exciting fight. I don't know where we're going to see him, but hopefully we can get him a top fight in the lightweight division. I don't know, maybe a rematch with Joe Stevenson. I don't know. I don't think he needs it. The last fight was kind of a Joe Stevens domination, but we'll see. And this show did pretty well. As well, this one did I believe this show did like a 1.4, or a really strong rating, which is, a big positive for the UFC. As these fight night, it did a 1.9. I shouldn't say that. It did a 1.9, which is a really good rating for, Spike and the UFC for a fight night card. As, those cards really you don't expect to watch in. They're more just the lead-in for Tough, and obviously Tough 10 helped elevate that rating. People were just, deciding to tune in for those aspects, and that's exactly what we got there. And then we went to the Tough show, and I gotta say that the, Ultimate Fighter Season 10, this looks like a really, really good show. First of all, I mean, when you look at the thing after the show ends, when you look at the rating it did 2.9 rating, 4.1 million viewers, being the most watched episode in history, and it's also the highest rated show for a debut original Spike series, which is just absolutely incredible. This season will be really, really good. I mean, when you got to see it at the end, there's going to be a lot of great incidences. I don't know how well the fights are going to be. I think we may get a couple good fights here and there. Like, I really want to see, of course, Kimbo fight Roy Nelson, and, even Wes Sims, because Wes Sims just comes off as a complete jerk. In my opinion, he just comes off like he knows what he's talking about. He's going to be the best fighter of all time, blah, 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 blah. And just how upset he was that he got passed over by Rashad's team and stuff like that. A lot of good antics are coming out of the show. Not a lot of gross stuff, which I think is good for the show. As, like last season we didn't get it, but the maturity level you can definitely tell. But I think a lot of the antics between Rashad and Rampage, even if they are contrived or whatever, they're going to be great. And that's what makes they're helping sell a fight that's unfortunately not going to happen now. But down the line, you're going to remember this. And I think it's not like they're going to be with Matt Serra and Matt Hughes where they're going to wait maybe too long for the fight. But I think this fight's going to take place Super Bowl weekend. But I think it's going to be good and all. The teams I've picked, I wasn't that impressed with Rampage's team. He picked DeMarcus Jones and Kimbo and a bunch of other guys. He has Wes Sims on his team. He's got Scott Junk, another former UFC fighter. Wes Shivers, another former NFL player. Rashad's team's probably got the better technical guy. He's got Roy Nelson. John Madsen definitely proved that he's got some wrestling ability. I don't know about overall skill, but stuff of that nature he's got about that. And that's really, he's got definitely the better team. I think he's going to have the better coaching, due to the fact that he's got Greg Jackson with him. But anyways, it started out great. The first 8 minutes that they released, that they showed, of course, again, it was just great stuff, just great talk between the two of them. And the Kimbo coming out and everyone hates him and stuff like that. And I thought, you kind of think it's funny that Roy Nelson thought he was the big announcement when really the most, casual MMA fans or people that just watch the UFC probably had no fucking clue who this guy was, knowing the IFL. I don't even think him being a former IFL champion, even to a hardcore fan, is even really that big of an announcement. But anyways, the fight itself was not that good and all, but good God, was Big Abe Wagner bleeding. I mean, Jesus Christ, this was like Niagara Falls in the damn octagon of blood. This was a nasty cut. I'm really surprised that Steve Mazzagatti didn't stop this fight. Actually, well, I shouldn't be surprised, as it was Steve Mazzagatti who was, every time you see him, he gets like worse in skill of reffing a fight, in my opinion. This fight was just the same thing. It was Madsen using his wrestling to his ability, taking him down, delivering nasty elbows, and just going to town on him. I just don't understand how fucking Mazzagatti didn't stop this fight. I mean, he's just, I don't know. He's looking in there. Yeah, everything looks good, even though, half his face is bleeding to death over there. I don't know. And then, after this, I can understand in the first round them not stopping it because of the fact of, it's bleeding to the side of his face, not in his eye, just down his face. But once, the round ended, you'd think they want to look at it and be, oh, yeah, let's wave this fucker off. No, they decided to let it go and more cut. I mean, you could see it looked like he got hit in the face by a Buick. That's honestly what it looked like happened to him. He got hit in the face with a wiffle ball bat, a bat, something like a hard object hit him in the face. It was just a nasty gash. Like, you could apparently see inside his skull. That's how gross that is. This was a very nasty fight in terms of technical ability and the blood. Madsen wins. He absolutely dominated him. It was the judges scored it 20-16 and two 20-17 scores, which I absolutely agree with. I scored it probably 20-16 as well. Really, though, the way the show really will flow more likely is great stuff building up to the fight. The fights may not be pretty weak. So that's the way I see it going. But overall, the UFC had a pretty good weekend going to it. Now we, of course, have a fight show tonight with 2 free fights on Spike TV and, of course, the pay-per-view. I don't know how I think about this pay-per-view. I'm predicting somewhere around 550,000 buys, and I still believe there's interest in it. In UFC since 100, a bigger interest than most. But obviously, I think the boxing aspect will win. I think that the the Marquez Mayweather fight, which take place tonight as well, will do a lot better because of, HBO's promotion ability is really strong, and the fact that, it's a fighter that a lot of people want to see lose, and Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd's a pretty good promotion guy. Now, do I think it'll do 2 million buys, which is what he's thinking? No, or even 1 million. No, I think it's probably doing, 800,000 tops. That's as most I can see, and I think I'm even being generous with 800,000. For that fight. But really, I think boxing wins it just because the main event is Vitor Belfort versus Rich Franklin. Rich isn't that big of a draw. Most fans know him. Most people don't know Vitor, and, I think they did a decent job getting over, a really good job, actually, I should say, in getting over Vitor and his past in the UFC, but it depends if you tuned in to watch the Countdown show. I thought the best part of the Countdown show was the Frank Trigg, Josh Koscheck stuff. That's the fight I'm really looking forward to see as well. But, I think this card will... The UFC card I'm talking will overachieve like the UFC Fight Night card. A lot of good fights on here, actually. Dos Santos, Cro Cop. It's a big stepping stone for Cro Cop. I think Trigg Koscheck will be a really entertaining fight. Both guys have really strong wrestling, so I think that they're going to cancel that out, and it's going to be a striking battle. And, it depends which... Vitor shows up, the Vitor of, 1996, 97, or the Vitor of the past where he didn't have the confidence and just got, destroyed basically by some of these guys, and getting taken down, and, that's the way I see it. And plus, I think Vitor's, psychological factor may be hurt since it took him 4 times to make weight for this fight. So... that's just the way I see this look. But anyways, it should be a good night of fights. I'll be back on Monday to review the UFC 103 show, as well as TNA's No Surrender pay-per-view, which takes place tomorrow night as well. But, I may as well, if I have time, which I don't think I will. But eventually I have to give my thoughts on the Cornette release, some MMA news as well. We got Rogers and Fedor's announced for November the 7th in the Sears Center in Chicago, Illinois. Kung Lee vacating the Strikeforce, middleweight title, and a bunch of other things, but we don't have time in this video. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. To hit you with a couple videos maybe next week. But anyways, that's it for me. I'm out. Peace.